Anyway, let's talk about the running backs, guys, because it's a quietly crowded room, the running backs. And what I mean by that is you don't hear a lot about the movement and the running back side of things because you hear so much about the quarterbacks, a ton of wide receivers we'll get to there shortly. Everything going on in the edge room because that's just fun and exciting. This is a very, very crowded running back room right now. So you got Tyrone Tracy Jr., obviously, and the big thing we'll be looking for in camp, obviously, is can he continue to improve? Can he get better than he was last year? And I think pass protection is something I'm going to be curious to see, whatever film we can get to see what he's doing in that, because that's definitely one area last year I thought he was lacking. But again, rookie running backs typically lack in that spot. That's a normal thing. I think it's safe to say he makes the roster.
Yeah.
Go on a limb there.
Number one guy.
Go on a limb there.
Yeah.
Devin Singletary, motor. Last year was a very bad year for him, guys, and I don't think it's being talked about enough. It's kind of be like this assumption that he'll be running back number 2.
I don't know.
His yards per carry was 3.9 yards per carry last year. Now go back to his Buffalo days. That's what they talked about when they got him. Like, ooh, Dable got Singletary. He looked great for him in Buffalo. Well, his Buffalo days, he averaged 4.7 yards per carry. That's 0.8 of a yard. It's almost a full yard difference. That's a big difference.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said. Better offensive line for a long career.
Well, Buffalo had issues on the offensive line too. So better, yes, but not elite.
I just said better. I didn't say.
I'm just clarifying. Yeah. I'm just clarifying that.
You also have to consider Buffalo's quarterback game, passing game was way better than what he had prior. So,
are you suggesting Josh Allen is better than Daniel Jones?
I just might be throwing it out there. Just little crazy talk.
Insanity. Yeah. Breaking news.
Anyway, but you have to put that in consideration too. So Buffalo's had a good swing of just being able to have X, Y, and Z running back and make them look better than what they were.
But he looked better in Houston too. But he didn't look as good as he did in Buffalo. And that's where my mind is kind of going to at this point. So you go 4.7 yards a carry in Buffalo, down to 4.2 with the Texans last year, down to 3.9 with the Giants this year. It's not a very good trajectory. Now, again, Houston did not have a good offensive line either, though Houston did at least have the passing game. That definitely helped him there. I'm just wondering, he's going to be 28 years old this season here. He'll be 28 before the season starts. He's technically 27 right now. Is it kind of starting to decline on him there? We always talk about 30s when running backs start to die, but, it doesn't always happen at 30. Sometimes it's sooner. Occasionally it's even later, as Derrick Henry.
AP?
Yeah. Oh, Tiki?
Yeah.
Tiki was still eating his 30s. I mean, it happens either way. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to jump to either conclusion. In my head, I'm going, there's a 50-50 shot he's worse than what he was because of the offense around him. And there's that other side of it is that he's on the downslope. I don't know which one it is. But that's a pretty significant drop to go from 4.7 yards a carry to 3.9.
Yeah.
That's
shaving off 20% what you did last year.
Yeah, that's a big difference there. So we'll have to see what happens with him. And then we of course have I put the comment up here because I see Dorothy in the chat. Always good to see you, Dorothy. Says Scat will be RB2 for sure, and that's what He's
probably not going to start RB2, but he'll probably finish.
I think it's going to be one of those scenarios where he starts off as a short yardage third back and slowly but surely takes the carries away from Singletary, which should be ironic because in a way that's what Tracy did last year to Singletary. I was about to say
he's legit going to do what Tracy did.
Yeah, except Tracy knocked him down from 1 to 2, and now he's going to be knocked down from 2 to 3, basically.
Yeah.
Which means he's knocked down to the free agency next year.
Yeah.
That's where you're at. I mean, Singletary is not a cheap backup running back, guys. As Jay says, even Devin Singletary and Saquon had simpler cap numbers. They did and they didn't because they guess similar cap numbers, but obviously Saquon had the much bigger contract and all his money is pushed to later years like the Eagles always do. So it's definitely a better contract, that's for sure. David says, hopefully Scat is RB1. That would mean he is even better than Tracy, which is possible. That could be a good or a bad thing. I'll say that because that also could mean that Tracy takes a step back this year.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to see what happens there. I would love to see them as that combo at that point, like Bradshaw and Jacobs back in the day, like a
That's
modern day
exactly what I was going to
version of
say.
that. That's what I would love to see. But I don't know. Part of my concern is his speed. He had one great year in college. Doesn't have elite speed. I don't know what the ceiling is for this kid. I will tell you this: he's got good hands. He has no fear jumping into a pile. I think he has a place in the NFL, and at the minimum, it's a short yardage goal line back.
Yeah,
which is still a use, and we got him late in the draft, so I'm not hating if that's all it is. But as Jay says here, people are crazy bullish on Scataboo like he's John Riggins already. Got to chill. I think we have to say there's options of what he could be. And we don't know what it's going to be yet.
My old man's from Arizona, and he keeps bringing up Scataboo.
Scataboo!
Scataboo! Scataboo! Scataboo!
It's because, honestly, his name is why I keep talking about it myself. The name is just fun to say. Like, really, you try saying Scataboo and not, like, smile while you're saying it.
Exactly. Although, my father's also a Giants fan, and he loves bringing up Scataboo. That kid from Arizona is going to be quite good. I'm like, Dad, I understand you live in Arizona.
Yes, well, that's what happens when you see him on the news all the time and out there. But, I do think, though, again, I think he's going to make the roster. I think that's pretty obvious. I don't think that's a concern there. And Jay says the white dude got a 40-inch vertical. I don't think anyone can question his athleticism. Again, he's not fast. That's the thing. David said he has so much heart. The guy plays like he's possessed. I watched every game he played at OSU, and he's phenomenal for 2 years. Yeah, he was good for 1 year, phenomenal for second year. I think that's probably the way I would word it personally, but I get it. See, Dorothy says, speaking as a Sun Devil alum, Scataboo is much better than a fourth rounder. Yeah, and we saw that, in the behind the scenes the Giants showed us there with the draft where they were actually considering whether to go for him or Bo. We got both. But yeah, I never would have thought that he was going to be a fourth round pick. We had him a third round pick all day long in every single mock we did, every single analysis we gave at that point there. We thought he was a third round pick all day long. And then Jay says, wait, Rob is a Zony?
I am not a Zony. I did a reverse retirement shuffle from New Jersey. I was born in an Air Force base in Florida, moved up to Jersey, and spent my whole life pretty much in New Jersey. My dad retired in Arizona, moved out there 7-8 years ago now with, my mom and my brother.
I didn't even know what a Zony was at first. I literally had to Googling it right now. I'm like, what the hell is a Zony? Get in the zone.
Yeah.
Auto zone.
Yeah. In the middle of the mid-south.
But yeah, like I said, I think it's safe to say he's going to make it. And then Jay tells us that in San Diego, we hate Zonies. I thought everybody in San Diego loved everybody. It was like one of those peace hippie kind of towns.
Yeah, I was about to say. There's a really big Navy base out there.
Mac, the Giants fan, what's up, man? Says, I think Scat is a well-rounded football player. He brings a lot to the table. He will never be a game breaker, but he has the tools to be very productive. Exactly. But I mean, again, this is what, and I know there's some people that love this guy, and I'm going to probably looks like I'm a moron for saying this. This is why I made the comparison of Bradshaw and Jacobs. Jacobs was never going to be a 1,500-yard rusher kind of guy. He never was. But he was still a damn good running back. He worked well with Bradshaw and obviously was great at getting in the end zone. He still leads all Giants players in rushing touchdowns for their career. So, I mean, a really good player overall. So I don't think it's a bad thing to say he reminds me of that to a certain degree. Though I will say, I'm not expecting him to be Jacobs. I expect him to be a Jacobs-esque player, but not to the same degree. That'd be ridiculous to there and say he's Brandon Jacobs. And I've seen people say that, by the way. Let the man play it down before we christen him the next rushing champion of the Giants franchise. That's ridiculous. Absolute insanity.
Drew, have you seen Giants fans?
I know. Just occasionally. Jay says Zonies take over the city when it gets too hot in Arizona and are mostly jerks. Ooh. I didn't know that was a thing. But I did say, because somebody I work with is actually going to Arizona this weekend. And we're talking about weather, and I'm looking it up. It was 114 degrees high today in Phoenix today. I don't care dry heat or not. F that.
And it's weird out there too, because depending if you're in a valley or in a mountain area, you could be in 114 degree weather, and all next thing you know, it's snowing at night.
Yes, I've heard that. I'm good. Yeah. Dorothy says, who will be a starter first, Dart or Scat?
Ooh.
Oh. I don't, honestly, I think it depends.
Scat might have probably a higher probability.
Well, I would say it also depends, though, on what you want to classify a starter. If you're just classifying a starter, whoever gets on the field in the first play of the game, then Scataboo's got to beat Dart. But if you're saying the starter is the person who gets the majority of the snaps, it's Dart. Because I don't think Scataboo will get in that kind of situation. I think they're going to do a running back by committee. So it just depends on what you want to call a starter.
That's a fair way to put it, because if you're going down saying who's going to be in the game first, Scat.
They could break out an I formation with Scat right there at that point and do a simple run up the middle to start the game. That's very simple.
Yeah. And he could only have 8 snaps in the game.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It all depends on that. Jay says, you are Florida. You get the same sort of thing there, I'm sure, Drew. No, we get 95, maybe 100, and we get blistering humidity. That's the main difference. People, like I said, they say dry heat. I've never been a guy who visits the west side of the country very often, just because time and all. But I've been to Vegas and Arizona in August one year, and it was ridiculous. I could get off the plane. It was you felt like you were melting. And he says, I mean snowbirds. Yeah, we got a ton of snowbirds, that's for sure. We say the fall is when the plates change instead of the leaves, the colors, because you start getting all these different states coming in at that point there. And a lot of Canadians. There's a lot of Canadians where I live. That's what it's all
about.
A boot. Anyway, other running backs here. We get distracted by Zonies and Florida, and for once, not the Golden Corral. We got Eric Gray. Can we just admit finally, and I know you and I have, but I mean, as a collective amongst Giants fans, that this was a bad pick and one we wish we had back?
Listen, there's going to be plenty of fans that still support him or say it's not a bad pick, because there's people out there that say oh, it's not a bad pick, it's a fantastic pick for the needs at the time. But what are we going to do? We're going to start Scataboo, we're going to start Tracy, we're going to start Singletary. What was he supposed to go to the lineup?
My whole thing is, if he was any good, he would have forced his way onto the lineup.
Yeah.
Tracy, let's be very frank, guys. If anybody thought that Tracy was going to be the starting running back for much of the year, we would have all been like, no, that's crazy. Tracy taking the spot. We all saw Devin Singletary number 1, and it was a matter of Eric Gray or Tyrone Tracy be running back 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I hope Miller can work his way up there.
We were hoping. We'll get to him in a minute too, obviously, but Eric Gray, he got the one shot in the one game, fumbled the ball. And unfortunately, listen, I don't want to blast the kid at one fumble. Everybody has them, but it was really, really bad timing. And, definitely was a kind of a low light to his career. I'll put it that way. But if you take away the Lions game he had in the preseason last year, the first week. I can't think of one great memory of Eric Gray as a Giant.
No.
All I remember is he sucked at returning kicks. Joe Shane literally said he drafted him to return kicks because he's like, oh, I need to close all the kick returners. And there's this kid, Eric Gray, and he could do it. So I drafted him. Listen, I was summarizing. That's not a quote, but that's basically what he said. And to me, he's got to go. He's got to go. Sometimes you just got to cut your losses and admit your mistakes. And there's been a lot of that, let's be honest, in the Joe Shane first 2 drafts. And this is one of those time to cut your losses. Yeah. And we were saying it last year, and yet somehow they kept him and put him on the field again. He just doesn't look good. It's what it is. Let's see, we got David says Scataboo may not be a superstar, but he'll give the team a more tough attitude so they've lacked the last few years. Tracy, too, has that mental toughness. We definitely have lacked that, that's for sure. Jay says, oh, man, remember that when Gray juked that dude in preseason and got TD? People were so bullish. Yes, they were. Ronald says, I think Gray will be dropped this year. Now is Scataboo's time to shine. Damn straight. Jay says, I'm going to laugh so hard if he goes somewhere else and balls out. The only place he could potentially ball out is at Giuseppe's making meatballs. That's just saying. That's the only place I see Eric Gray balling out.
Uncle Giuseppe's.
Whatever it is. Listen, it is what it is. Mac, the Giants fan, says Eric Gray's time is up. He brings no value to the roster. Damn straight. We've been saying that for 2 years. Ronald says, LOL, that'd be really funny. Jay says, how you can... I think you mean say. We're going to insert the word say there for you. Say that about Hyatt too, Mac. And then Dorothy says, and I can't, don't. I think of this every time we hear Eric Gray's name too. So I was hoping nobody would bring it up. Puka Nacua drafted 5 picks after Eric Gray. In all fairness, though, no one knew what Puka Nacua was. Like, Rob and I scouted Puka Nacua. We liked him. We said he was a hard-working kid, really good run blocker. We weren't sure quite how effective he is a receiver per se, though. But, obviously things worked out very well for him. Jay says, Max Crosby drafted 5 picks after O'Shane Zimenez. Stop it! David said, or the Eagles. I could run behind that offensive line. Oh, gosh. Watch Eric Gray go to the Eagles. Jay says, Rob could have run behind that O-line. I'll tell you what Rob could run. A special on vacuum for 4th of July. 15% off.
Use code Rob.
Oh my God! I'm just saying, Dyson. We're ready for a sponsorship here. We're ready.
We're bringing back the rainbow.
Carl Brooks drafted 7 picks after Eric Graves. Ronald says, with the extra weight, I think Hyatt will do a lot better this year. His route running is better too. Well, we'll get into that in a minute here. We'll get back to the receivers here in a minute here. Let's see here. Chase is run out of the Golden Corral without paying. What? Random thought here.
Ding dong ditch.
Anyway, I think we can all agree it's time for Eric Gray to go. He got to go.
Yeah.
Next up, Dante Turbo Miller. Turbo time. Listen, Rob and I have been a big fan of this kid since the day we got him. I have still not given up on him, by the way. It's weird because here I am saying 2 years or like 1 year of Eric Gray and I was done. I have not given up on Turbo yet because the kid hadn't played like a year and a half when we got him. Like, he needed some time to get back up to speed, not to mention most of his, time in college was in an Ivy League school. Wasn't even like a good college, area there. So I think that you give this kid a chance. He's got so much athletic ability. I really think that if you give him a shot, he can have some kind of role. I just don't know what that role is. And I think his big thing this year, because you got to think again, you got Tracy, you got Scataboo, you got Singletary. He's going to have to show something on special teams. To make this roster. And I don't mean even like, doing coverage teams and stuff like that. I mean, he needs to show he can return. He needs to show Joe Shane, you know what? You made a mistake with Eric Gray, but I'm here to rectify that mistake. That's what I think, because he literally, I'm telling you right now, if you put up him and Tyrone Tracy, I'm going to give you that as an example. He would destroy Tyrone Tracy in almost every single athletic, skill at that point there. Like when he went to his pro day at South Carolina, he was going to be ranked number 1 if that was a combine event, basically for every single major statistical category for running backs. But again, he hadn't played in a year and a half. He needed time. But now you look at this roster and you go, where's the spot for him?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to plug him in somewhere.
Yeah. Are you going to get rid of Singletary? No.
Not
You going to get rid of Tracy? No. You going to get rid of Scataboo? No.
Scataboo.
So unless you plan on taking in 4 running backs, which is a lot for a roster, most people take 3. The only way you can do that is if you can give it a reason like that. Like, hey, this kid's staying because he can return kickoffs. He can return punts. He can do the things that we need him to do on special teams. Plus, we think he can develop into a running back in the NFL.
Yeah. Got to give him a little time.
And unfortunately, he may not get much more time. He was on the practice squad all last year. I was really hoping they would have called him up late in the year to play, especially against the Eagles, that last game of the year, where we clearly gave up and put scrubs in. Like, you should have put him and Ford Wheaton should be on the field 100% of the snaps. See what you had.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they didn't do it. So you could also look at that and say, obviously, the Giants don't have necessarily a lot of faith in him, because why would they not put him out there in a scenario where they're trying to see what the young kids have? Why would they go get Cam Skattebo if they had a lot of faith in him? Like, there's questions you can ask in this scenario. But again, I think last year was like a redshirt year for him, basically, because he hadn't played in so long. And I don't think anyone, including the coaching staff, saw what he was yet. But again, he's going to have to work it in somehow as a special team guy. That's the only way he's going to make this roster. Only way. And Dorothy says we all need turbo time. Jay says that's insane. He was a foster kid and graduated from Columbia. What a story he has. Hells yeah. And we did a whole segment on him when we first signed him, by the way. If you guys haven't heard the story, where he was really raised by his grandmother after his mother had drug issues. Then the grandmother died, and it was a whole thing where he was in foster care for a while. I think it was his cousin. I have to go back to the video. I think it was his cousin that ended up raising him the rest of the way from there.
I believe so.
And again, goes to Columbia, goes to, finish his football career in South Carolina. Didn't work out because South Carolina didn't have the correct information on whether he was eligible. Then he should have gone to the draft, didn't go to the draft. No one even realized he was draftable. So he ends up being a free agent instead. It's a crazy story. Absolute crazy story. But again, at his pro day, he would have been ranked number 1. I still think he's got a shot to do something in this league. And again, I don't put in crazy things on him. I mean, just having a role of some kind with some team.
Yeah.
And I do hope it's the Giants, that's for sure. Mac, the Giants fans, I think when it comes to Turbo, it's simply a numbers game. He has the talent, but it's a crowded running back room. Exactly. Jay says 4.240. Exactly. He got that kind of speed. I'm telling you guys. He could be, I really think he needs to work on kick returning, and I hope he already has this offseason, and he gets a shot that way. I think it's a shot. Ronald said, wondering about dropping our number 2 running back and saving a good amount of money, going with Tracy, Scataboo, and Turbo. So in theory, that works out very well because there's a big contract there. If I remember correctly, and I'm going to look it up real quick for you guys right now, the exact on the contract. If we cut him, and this is talking about Singletary, we save $1.5 million. And keep in mind, we save $1.5 million. This is a post June 1st cut. So you're still paying for some of him next year because of that. So you're only saving $750,000 overall. It's just you get 150 savings this year, and then it splits. So it doesn't make much sense to cut him unless somebody wants to trade for him. But if somebody wants to trade for him, hypothetically, you're going to save $5 million then. But he's got a base salary of $4.75 million. good luck trying to find someone to trade for that. That's not easy. But that's his base salary, so it is what it is. Let's see. David says Turbo's injury protection. Singletary is old. Again, he's 28. I wouldn't say he's old yet like that. He's 28. How old are you, David? But like I said, I do question if age is starting to get to him. I really do. And it's not because of anything but the fact that he is 28, getting closer to 30. You've seen the slippage and the abilities the last 2 years. But there's other factors. So let's see here. Jay says, I don't think you can cut him kind of pot committed. Don't know if the other dudes can pass block either. That's one thing as well. He's very good as a pass blocker. Ronald says, but I'd love to give Turbo a chance. Damn straight. And David says 56. Twice as old as him. Oh, exactly. And listen, I do it myself. I'm like 42 calling like a 27-year-old. Like, he's starting to get up there in age. Maybe it's time to call it a day. Seriously, what the hell? I feel like such a hypocrite. Imagine if my boss said to me, like, you're 42. Maybe you peaked. Maybe it's time.
You ever think about retirement?
It's insanity, guys. Now, we do have one more, as Ronald says, 68. We're all just showing our ages here. We do have one more running back as well that I think people kind of forget. Rushawn Baker. He was the undrafted rookie free agent from Elon University. Not Elon Musk, Elon University. Let's be very frank and say he's not going to make this team.
Probably not.
Not going to probably make the practice squad. That's screaming camp body to me all day long. And if I had to guess on the way the room's going to be, Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary, Cam Skattebo all make the roster. Dante Miller will be back to the practice squad one more year, assuming nobody picks him up, unless he shows he can do a better job returning a kickoff or a punt or both than any other option available to return kicks. That's his shot. That's his one chance. Everybody else, bye-bye.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, how many running backs, like we said before, how many running backs are we going to keep on this roster?
To me, 3 is what you want to keep, because let's be very frank. Anybody else past that, you can get a guy off the streets just as good.
Yeah.
Not trying to be a jerk about it, just being the truth about it. Like, you're not going to, can you go, oh, I have to really hold on to Eric Gray. No, you could find, there's 30 Eric Grays at the UFL right now.
Probably more.
Probably
a lot better.
Oh, damn, we said it. We're mean. All right.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the Goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
If you like that clip,
then you will love the full episodes too.
Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.